Okay, so let's use this 30 minutes in a useful way to be there's different approaches to meditation, and one is, we very consciously, directly are training the mind not to go all over the place. That's called concentration, and you're learning to become conscious. That's the result of that in day-to-day life. And another way is to actually look at the mind itself. There's a particular meditation to do that. And then there are many others where we use analysis. We use logic to really to argue with misconceptions. So meditation's got a much broader meaning, I think, than often we tend to have a fairly cliched view of what it means. And then there's from the Vajrayana teachings, there are the meditations where we familiarize our mind, and that's the real meaning of the word to meditate, to familiarize. We're familiarizing our mind with the different Buddhas. And the reason we do that is because we're trying to become a Buddha. We're trying to remove all the delusions from our mind and develop all the goodness, which is a very simple way of putting it. So because of the way that karma works, and karma is this really fundamental law that runs the universe, that everything we think and do and say programs us. So basically, in a sense, with this type of meditation, we're programming ourselves, we're training ourselves, we're familiarizing ourselves with with the Buddhas, both by visualizing, we'll do that today, visualizing the Buddha out there, and then imagining becoming the Buddha ourselves. So because no thought goes astray, then this programming stays there, and it's a method. It's one of the many methods for actually becoming ourselves a Buddha. It's not just some kind of fantasy. So we'll do a little meditation on the Buddha, Tara. There's in the Vajrayana, there are many hundreds, if not thousands, of various manifestations of Buddha mind. The one behind us is Shakyamuni Buddha in the Sutra teachings. And so then you've got the Vajrayana, and this is a different approach. The Buddhas look very different here. They're looking very gorgeous and beautiful. So it's a different approach in the Vajrayana, meant to energize us. So, and also the other crucial point is all these different Buddhas, they're literally different manifestations of different psychological qualities, either that we're trying to cultivate or that we're trying to purify. So here, so Buddha, an enlightened mind, has three essential qualities: infinite wisdom, infinite compassion, and infinite power, action, ability to act. Compassion is not enough. Wisdom is not enough. You need the ability to put it all into practice. And that's represented by Tara. It's one way of talking about Tara, a female aspect. So I'm trying to imagine, if you're familiar, fine. It's the bodhisattva aspect. It's different from this one we're seeing, as I said, behind me, Buddha, the monk. So in the sky, about comfortably, as you can imagine, in the front. And we don't have, many of us don't have very good visualization, but don't worry about it. Just the thought is the main thing. Imagining, just use your thoughts, So she's totally gorgeous. This bodhisattva style is very radiant and very beautiful. And she's dressed in this kind of Indian, it's coming from the Indian style, of course, from centuries ago. And it's kind of like the royal style. Kind of the aristocratic, you could even say. They're looking totally beautiful, magnificently dressed with gorgeous silken clothes. And if you've seen the pictures, you'll know all the statues. And she's green, which is like action energy. And the female energy is often depicted as very fast, quick, sharp, clear. And this particularly, she's representing action in the sense that, to cut through the fears. She's often cut through the fears of samsara. They talk about her like that. So it's this energy, we all need this energy badly. We often become paralyzed, impotent, kind of hopeless. She's courage, confidence, power, action, these qualities, we really all need them. She's in this bodhisattva style, she's got this silken colored clothes on the lower part of her body, but mostly you see in the statues and in the pictures, she's got nothing on the top, all these gorgeous breasts, maybe some scarves and things, you'll see it. Very kind of, yeah. So then her right hand is on her right knee, And in the gesture or mudra, the palm is up and the pointing, the fingers pointing out. It's like this gesture, this kind of generous kind of giving, you know, gesture. Her palm is resting on her right knee, but her right knee is her left leg is drawn in, like as if you know, like in meditation, but her right leg is out, resting on a. She's sitting on a multicolored lotus, and her right leg is resting on another little multicolored lotus. And this is showing her action energy. I think, you know, there's some incredibly beautiful picture, a statue of Kuan Yin, I think in Kentucky somewhere, some museum. You see the picture, it's incredibly gorgeous. So it's just like that. She's in this relaxed style, not in a meditative pose. It's an action pose. She's ready to hop up to help sentient beings. And her face, totally beautiful, utterly beautiful, sweet red mouth. Sometimes her eyes are slightly wide because she's in sort of an action, not in a meditative pose. And also because she's slightly wrathful, you know. No nonsense. Tara's no nonsense. You can get on with it. And her hair, typically in this style, is partially held up in a top knot, and you can imagine the rest of her hair down her back. And everything is crystal clear, like radiant and precise and beautiful. Should make your mind very happy. Her right hand, her left hand, no, her right hand, right, her left hand is at her heart, and the fingers are pointing up. And her thumb and finger, her ring finger, are holding the stem of a blue upala flower that blooms at her left ear. And her right hand, too, the thumb and the ring finger are holding a blue upala, a lotus flower, a blue one, that blooms at her right ear. So there she is with her left hand at her heart, the fingers pointing up, and the mudra of, I always forget it, I think it's the 3 jewels. Then the right is on her knee, this gesture of giving, the flowers blooming at each of her ears, face radiantly beautiful. Hair partially held up in a top knot. And then again, as typically you see in the statues, in this royal style, like this 5-pointed crown. It's more like a tiara on the front of her head. And every one of these things has great meaning. It's not just some pretty thing. Each one has a psychological significance. It's like a visual image of this quality. And it's also, think of it as like a mirror image of your potential. She's showing us what we can become. And everything's radiant. And she's sitting on a multicolored lotus, and on that lotus, you imagine, is a sun disk and a moon disk, like 2 flat cushions. You can't see them, and they represent wisdom and compassion. So, and her feet, so she's got sort of jewelry, you know, like earrings and on her neck, on her upper arms, her wrists, her ankles. Her feet are bare, but, you know, she's just totally divine looking, ready for the best party on the planet. Utterly beautiful. Now, if you have a lama, a spiritual mentor, a teacher, a guru, all these words are referring to a person that you have chosen to be the embodiment of Buddha for you, to show you the way to enlightenment. If you have one of them, then their mind is manifesting as Tara for you. There's no Tara separate from that person. They're all, you know, there's great meaning in that, and it mightn't seem evident to us initially. Of course, that makes it very personal. Guru Tara, our Maya, your own personal Tara, you know, only wants to benefit you, full of infinite love, full of infinite compassion. Try and imagine that. I mean, even the degree to that we can imagine love and compassion of a person who is a Buddha still is nothing like what it would be, because we can't imagine more than we could imagine, you know, because they have no delusions. So their love and compassion are literally limitless. If we can imagine that. So now at her brow, there's a white Om. And of course, if you speak Sanskrit or Tibetan, you can imagine that, otherwise a Roman letter. At her heart, at her throat, a red Ah, A-H. At her heart, a blue horn. So now you imagine. So she's our visualization, you know. Now what we're going to do is we're going to imagine light going out from the blue horn, the blue light going out from the blue horn to the 10 directions of the universe. North, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, top and bottom. It covers everything, doesn't it? Up and down. And this light goes out and it hooks the energy of all the actual Taras, all trillions of beings who become Tara, all in their abodes and their pure lands. It hooks the energy of these Taras. And this energy of their body, speech, and mind comes back with those beams and enters back into the Hong. And now our visualization becomes even more radiant, more marvelous. She's now the embodiment of all the Taras in the universe. Zahong Bam Ho, they become non-dual. So now, out of her incredible compassion, her only wish is to help us. So then we do this little visualization. We imagine that she sends these white beams of light, laser beams of light from the white Om at her brow that penetrate our brow and instantly fill us. And what it does is two things. It purifies, it instantly annihilates and stops all the sickness, all the pains, everybody, no matter what, even if we're the healthiest person, we get some kind of pain. And some people live in physical pain. Can you imagine? So then you imagine this white light filling you completely, purifying, alleviating all the pain, making your body light and radiant, and purifying, but in particular, purifying all the causes of the suffering, all the karmic seeds of all the harm we've ever done since beginningless time with this body and countless previous bodies to harm sentient beings. All of this karma is annihilated, eradicated, completely purified. And we're full of this radiant white light. And now Lavatara so compassionately sends red beams from her throat, radiant laser beams that penetrate our throat and fill us completely, purifying all the nonsense of our speech, all the uncontrolled speech, all the nonsense. I mean, we mightn't do much harm with our bodies, you know, but we certainly, we rabbit on about nothing. We may be abused. We talk bad things about people behind their backs. We say things that aren't true. We don't mean to. All of this nonsense about speech and all the nonsense since beginningless time, all the harm we've ever done since beginningless time with our speech, all of this completely eradicated, full of this blissful red light. And now Guru Tara so compassionately sends radiant beams of blue light, blue like the sky, from her heart that penetrate our heart in the center of our chest and fill us completely. This time purifying the source, the cause of the nonsense of our speech and body, the cause of why we suffer, the cause of why we harm others. And that's the mind. And in which part of the mind? The delusions. And that means we've got to, the more we understand the Buddha's view of the mind, that we have these three distinct categories. That's it. There are those that are I-based, neurotic, fear-based, deluded, disturbing, miserable, and the source of any suffering we have, and the source of why we harm others. And then we have the virtuous states of mind. And then we have the third lot. The mechanics, I call them, concentration, all those things. So we imagine here all the delusions, and Buddha has found, this is what's amazing, that these are not at the core of our being. This is the job he has done himself. Removed utterly from our minds, eradicated from our minds, all the neurotic states of mind. Imagine that. The ego grasping gone, attachment gone, anger gone, jealousy, depression, fear, low self-esteem, all this stuff, gone. This mind, so blissful. Because what's left is the virtues. And what does that mean? That they are in the nature of happiness. This is the whole point. The delusions are the nature of suffering and misery. And the positive states of mind are in their nature happiness, joy, spacious, Can you imagine? And now, Lamatara, again, this time, now let's do we've purified all the delusions and all the nonsense. Now we're going to get all the blessings. So now imagine that Lamatara sends from her brow, again, the white beams that enter our brow, and this time filling us with a body that's radiant, and the key thing is a body that can only benefit others. So think this body alone, can you imagine that from now on we can only benefit others? Whoever sees us, hears us, tastes us, touches us, smells us, can only be benefited by our body. Can you imagine this? Not possible to harm. But crucially, full of the marvelous potential when we do become a Buddha, to be able to manifest in countless bodies throughout the universe, to be of benefit to sentient beings. That's the job of the Buddha. Buddhists don't need bodies. They only take them for all, all suffering peanuts like us, to help us. So full of this marvelous potential, this ability to benefit others with our bodies and to manifest in countless bodies throughout the universe. Even the lowest level bodhisattva has the capacity to manifest in 100 different forms simultaneously. And there are 10 stages of Buddhahood, 10 stages of bodhisattva path. Full of this marvelous potential to only be of benefit to sentient beings with our bodies. Full of this white light. So now she so compassionately sends red beams from the red R at her throat. Beams that penetrate our throat and fill us completely, and this time filling us with the power of speech. This is unbelievable, This is the one that we need most. This is the greatest gift. This is the main gift of the Buddha. As Lama Zopa said, you can give food to every being on the planet, which is inconceivable, but you can give one piece of advice with your mouth to one person, and that can be more powerful, more valuable in the long term, because that person can become enlightened and lead countless others. So speech is the gift of the Buddha. We need speech, and in our own lives, it's absolutely vital to have speech that's reasonable, that people want to listen to, that benefits others, that is true, that isn't harsh, that is kind, but that is useful. So imagine being full of the potential of this power of speech, such that any sound you utter, good morning, even your laugh, will naturally benefit whoever hears it. Can you imagine this? And in daily life, your ordinary life, the job you do, things you need, you go to the shop and you ask for something. If no one likes your voice, they won't listen to you. You need speech and the sounds that come out of our mouth. And how we get this, because you see in the Vajrayana, the description is we've got this subtle wind energy coursing through these subtle channels in our body, linked to our mind. All our states of mind have their own set of the 4 elements. And so the mind and the wind, they say the mind rides on the wind. So the way to make our speech powerful is first to be silent. Second, to speak the truth, not to speak nonsense. Not to speak the truth, to speak not harsh words, to speak not rabbiting on about nothing words, and to speak positive things about people behind their backs. This is how you purify your speech. There's nothing mystical. And of course, by saying mantras. How amazing. When your speech becomes powerful. And as Rinpoche says in that meditation we do on the speech, just by hearing you can subdue people's minds. You can calm them, make them somehow feel everything's okay. That's the power of speech. Full of this marvelous potential, this red light. So now from her heart, she sends these radiant laser beams of blue light from the blue hung, entering our heart and filling us. And this time, imagine now activating, filling us, because the delusions have all gone. So what is there left? There is only wisdom that sees things as they are. There is only empathy and love and compassion and kindness and generosity. There can't be anything else. Even if you don't proactively develop them, just by ridding the mind of the delusions, you can't help but for them to manifest, because they're our nature. This is so important to understand. And it happens to be when the delusions are gone, there is only joy. There is only happiness. There is only bliss. That's like the bonus. Imagine full of this. Unbelievable. The mind's joyful, delighted, light, clear, wise. So now, Lama Tara, what we do now, we're going to imagine we're totally liberated from samsara, you know, but now there's more we can do. We can become Tara. So now we visualize the light coming from Tara, the three together, the white from the white Om, red from the red Ah, blue from the blue Hung, entering our three places. And this time they call this purifying even the subtlest imprints, even the obstacles to omniscience. So we removed all the delusions, but now we've got to remove even like the subtlest imprints left over from those delusions. And that combined with, of course, this is what we get combined with bodhicitta. We now become Tara. We become a Buddha. Imagine this. So these three lights together. Imagine. Becoming Tara. So now you imagine that Tara so happily, delightedly comes to sit above our crowns, each one of us. And she's facing this, and she faces the same way as us, above our heads. Well, actually, the lotus, you should have visualized the lotus disappearing into her body first, and the little lotus with her right leg has disappeared into her body. And then she comes so delightedly to sit above our crowns, facing the same way as us. And now she's so happily wanting to become oneness with our body, our speech, and our mind. She dissolves into green light and absorbs through our crown. And we imagine, she completely fills us, and we imagine the energy of our lamas, body, speech, and mind. The energy of Tara's body, speech, and mind. And the energy of our own body, speech, and mind. Become the same. Become one. There can't be distinction. Union, oneness, as Lama Yeshe would say. And now you kind of feel you're expanding to fill the universe. Totally blissful, totally clear, totally wise, totally compassionate, totally powerful. And just abide in that. No thoughts. Vast, infinite, spacious. And then imagine now, not imagine, now nothing, just be, now be, and just think, if it's the beginning of our day, think that we're going to be like the bodhisattvas, be like Tara. And throughout the day, consciously be aware that your body and your speech, which is what others see, which if you were a Buddha or a bodhisattva is only for the benefit of others. You don't need a body. So think consciously that your body and your speech are for others. Instead of this very self-conscious feeling of me, kind of, we're so conscious about me, I'm me, kind of plodding through life, doing what I want. But have this awareness that your body and speech are for the benefit of whoever's around. And then your mind, that's your business. Watch it like a hawk. And in this way, you make every second of the day practice, So we delight it. 30 minutes gone like a dream. But all those thoughts, every one of those thoughts will not go astray, That's what's so marvelous when we understand karma. It's very encouraging. We think thoughts mean nothing. We think thoughts are nothing, So depressing, our view in the West. But every thought counts. We have this marvelous 30 minutes of incredible thoughts, programming our mind to become our own Buddha. How amazing. Jangchop Semchop Pache Ma Ke Panam Ke Guchi Ke Panyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Hava Sho Gewaji Nyu Du Dag Lama Sange Drubgyo Ne Drowa Chikyang Malupa Deyi Sala Gapa Sho. Okie doke, everybody.